That's covered. Approve the agenda. Oh, I should just ask, anybody wanted to put anything on there? You do?
If possible, have an update from Nicole on any new, any new developments or.
Yeah, we can put Nicole on the spot.
Yeah.
It's kind of tradition. So we'll do that after, after the new business, before public input. Yeah, absolutely.
Just as I texted you, like to talk about.
Did you text me?
I texted you a little while back, but.
I really do
It's
apologize.
okay, it's okay. It's just about me transitioning out. So just have a real quick discussion about how that could work.
Okay, so maybe what we'll do is we'll put that ahead of Nicole's.
Sure, whatever works for you.
So can we make that, I guess, so what we're gonna do is 4C will be, would you like, committee transition?
Yeah.
Okay, and then 4D will be us just, bugging Nicole about certain things. Okay. All right, so approval for the agenda as amended. Ford, Deb, all in favor? Okay. All right, so recommendations that the minutes of the Planning and Development Committee meeting held on August 20th be adopted. Motion for that? Gord, John, all in favor? Perfect. Okay. New business, development variance permit, Hemlock, and I think that is June that's going to take that.
Thank you. Through the chair, just to give a quick presentation on anticipated application, development variance permit application that we recently received. So the site location is 721 Hemlock Crescent South. It's a OCP designation is a residential medium density, and then zoning of that parcel is a R-1 general residential. So as depicted through the site plan, what proponent is inquiring for the variance scope is that he anticipates to construct a garage for storing his watercraft and the boat, jet skis, or whatever on the rear corner of a subject property. All the setbacks that are proposed to conform to the general setback regulation. However, the part that is immediate to the south of his property. So in this particular case, the zoning requires 1.5 meter minimum setback to be insured. The proponent desires to acquire 0.61 meter setback. So the rationale explained by the proponent was that his anticipation or anticipated use of that proposed garage is to store a boat. And there is a maneuvering issues with the current house position. The way the house is positioned is kind of in the middle of the property. So there's not much room for proponent to maneuver the trailers around to store his watercraft. So in that relation, he's asking for the community to consider if the garage can be sited closer to the immediate neighbor side. I'm just gonna bring the map so that we can have a better context on the site. That's a subject property, and an immediate neighbor is a 717 Hemlock Crescent South. One of the important consideration when we deal with this type of a variance is we make sure that the final product, especially because it's asking for the significant setback relaxation, it needs to make sure that it addresses certain concerns in relation to the fire resistance in terms of the building materials, which will be reviewed at the building permit stage through the building officers. And other thing is it's a proximity to the neighbor's building and or structure. So looking at the previous building permit history for the 717 Hemlock Crescent South, it appears that in this particular corner, north east corner of the 717 Hemlock Crescent, there is a garage, existing garage that has a setback of a 1.5 meter to the property line subjected to the variance for 7:1. So the final building separation between those two buildings will be 2.2, it's going to be 2.1 meter, which exceeds the 1.2 meter minimum limiting distance that BC Building Code considers. However, that doesn't absolve the necessity for, that doesn't negate the necessity for the proponent to address the zoning stipulation. On a good note from the proponent perspective, he acquired the letter of the consent or endorsement from his immediate neighbor. So that's something that is helpful. Through the letter of endorsement from an immediate neighbor, there was a discussion between the property owner of a 7:1 and the immediate neighbor that the building may look
irrelevant.
Cameras on the floor.
Oh, and the camera's on the floor. I just want to make sure if anyone's online
Right?
that they can actually hear us.
I think I'm the only person online, but we should definitely make sure that we're.
Oh, okay, well then, that's,
Just so that the recording.
right. Yeah, no, we can take a minute here. Avoids text message. I got cut off and I was trying to follow along. It doesn't look like we're very popular today. No,
Well, it looks like this one,
it's nothing juicy on here so far.
this account is needed. But I'm just gonna test and see.
Yep.
Okay, we're good.
All good?
All good. And then I'll just grab the camera guy.
That looks nice, that picture.
You can have this little trackpad. Thank you. There we go.
All right.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
All right. Well, thanks very much, June. And I'll just open it to questions. Comments? Yeah, go ahead, Gord.
No, I think, seeing they have Neil and Colleen's consent and the design of the building, like you say, for fire, fire and also runoff, snow runoff, it's a big lot and it's doable. There's lots of room to get between fence in the house with a boat trailer or sea trailer. So, yeah, no, I think it's great. Nice little project.
Yeah, the difference in the kind of appearance, like the unconventional, it's in the back corner, so it's
You're
whatever.
only gonna see it if you're on the path.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a garage.
yeah.
It's a boat storage, yeah. Yeah, I don't have any issue with it either. I mean, I guess assuming just the planning staff will work with the fire department and the building officials to make sure it's fire rated. The only thing that slightly concerns me is just the setbacks, just because I always feel like this is just a constant thing that we deal with, and but I don't think this is creating anything that is precedent setting, because this is not a dwelling. This is just a storage unit. So, yeah.
Well, and with the relaxation of the setback, he's fully willing to go with the extra fireproofing and the no eave and
Yeah.
everything to make sure that there's no,
Yeah,
And the neighbors almost have it.
and the neighbor agreed, that's, I don't know. As long as we're not impeding on building codes and causing our town issues in that aspect, because like, is there any liability that comes back to the town for getting that much of a setback?
yeah, we can, yeah, Dean.
BC building code requires that a building permit, they have fully compliant with BC building code.
Yeah.
On fire resistance, so that wall will be a fireproof wall, which is why it can't have any openings.
Yeah, as long as we do that, we're fine.
It's required under BC building code, so building permit cannot be issued without that having. been
Yeah.
fixed.
And I guess the proponent is well aware of this, that's going to be an extra cost, and yeah, okay. Anything further on this application?
Excuse me.
Okay, do we have a motion to, I guess, what I'm looking for is to recommend that the variance be passed. Okay, Deb, Gord, all in favor? Okay, passes unanimously. All right, building regulations amendment bylaw 1056. Nicole, take that away.
Thank you, through the chair. So we have some changes proposed to the building regulations bylaw. We couldn't have done it without Michelle, of course, our level 3 building official, our own building official, operations department, June from the planning perspective, and of course, all the other internal departments. So we put our heads together and this is what we have proposed. It's not a bad bylaw, it serves its purpose. We're just updating a few things, in our opinion, pretty minor stuff. The bylaw was adopted in 2008. It's only had a couple amendments since then. The last one was to do a step code, I think, in 2023. And so we took a look at it again, and that's what we have proposed.
Did you want to go through and maybe highlight some of if there's any major changes? I looked through it. It looked like a lot of housekeeping, but I did see one thing, and I wonder if you want to just touch on it, was the citing permits. That is new.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, thank you. Because, I mean, typically we don't take building permits to the PDC, but we have taken the building bylaw before, and you remember the conversations about citing permits, and so that's why we're taking it back today. So, just to talk about some of those changes. So a definition for citing permit has been added. And that was the long running conversation that we've had. And a citing permit is pretty much just a check against land use bylaw and really setbacks and ensuring that they're meeting those. Right now, the BC building code does not apply to park model trailers. And we're proposing that a citing permit in our bylaw would only apply to park model trailers. So we're not asking for a citing permit for anything else at this time. We could, and we have had those conversations before about CCANs and whatnot, but park model trailers is a good place to start because people are living in those. We have other avenues in our building bylaw that don't apply to the park model trailers. Like if you don't need a building permit for a park model trailer because it doesn't, the code doesn't apply. Yes, yeah. And we have moving permits, but that has a lot to do with traffic control and ensuring that they are meeting like weight restrictions on the roads or lifting lines when they come through. So it's a kind of an operational review. So the citing permits would really cover us for the park model trailers. So we've added the definition and then a couple more spots here under Division 13, June. I think this is what I've already said, but it'll only apply to park model trailers. We are planning an update to the fees and charges bylaw. I know Bianca has been talking about that quite a bit. So we would need to add a charge to that, and we have one proposed in that bylaw. And a citing permit would just include the typical info provided in a building permit application fee and then what their plan is. So I think that was it for bullet points on citing permits.
Questions? Yeah, Gord, go ahead.
Just on the other one that was added was this in the plumbing section, Division 7. There's a storm management plan. Is that for every residential? Is that for every residential build? Something that's going to be layered on, or expensive for adding cost to a home.
So we already get a storm management plan. What that line says right now, I don't know if we can pull it up. Yeah, there we go. Site drainage, that is a storm management plan. So a request from the operations department, Daryl, was that we just clarify that that's actually what we're looking for. Site drainage, including the plan and all of the stuff that comes with it. So it's not an additional document that we're looking for.
Okay. So for a residential home, if somebody wanted to build a residential home, does he have to hire an engineer to do a site management plan? Storm management plan?
Typically, I mean, as far as I know, it's already included in the drawings, what their drainage plan would be. Yeah.
Dean, go ahead.
Clarification, so they would need a civil engineer if they're doing works, like if you're doing like a catchment basin or you're doing other works that are required. This is the plan that shows where your roof leaders go and where all the water goes from a building code perspective. If that leads into further, you have to do a French drain or some other rock pit on the site, then you do need engineering for that. But this isn't creating that standard. This just helps clarify so that somebody reading our bylaw understands what they have to do in order. This is standard in many communities.
Okay, thanks. Thank you very much for the call.
Questions, discussion? So should we go line by line through the entire document then?
There's a lot of housekeeping, like you say.
Yeah.
Just to help, like.
Yeah.
So there has been changes to the BC code. This is reflective of that. There's also things that were a little bit out of line with as far as wording. So having Michelle, who's a level 3 with lots of experience, review it. And just, it's more bringing us in line. And this is language that developers and builders are going to be reading coming from other communities. So we really want to keep our bylaw in line with that. We also had changes to our subdivision development services bylaw that included regulations about, for example, depth of sanitary and water lines or frost protection. This just makes sure that all of our bylaws say the same thing. We don't want to miss depth for water lines in our one bylaw that doesn't match our services bylaw. So just kind of those kinds of alignments were really important to have. So as was noted, a housekeeping update, but also some code related items as well.
Well, I have a couple of, I guess, questions. And I totally agree with this, but under 509, level of fire protection acceptable to the fire chief. I think I understand why we would make that change, but maybe you guys can explain why we're doing that.
Yep.
Instead of the building official.
Yep, through the chair.
Yeah.
509. Okay, so yeah, currently when fire protection is required, and we actually just had a really great meeting with the building official and the fire department about some of the larger projects in town where when they start to construct what exactly their fire plan is.
Yeah.
We're not talking single family residences, but the larger developments. So when the fire protection plan is required, the building official isn't determining what that fire protection plan is. The fire chief is, and that's why she requested that we change it to fire chief. They'll rely on what they say and request it as part of the building permit for the larger projects, but it was just clarifying who's actually responsible for determining the level of fire protection.
Yeah, and Dean,
Just for clarification, so this is a unique circumstance. This is during construction.
right,
Building official reviews it in the context of when it's finished. When it's finished, it reviews the fire protection for it. This is during the construction phase. So when you have framing up, how are you protecting in a fire and what's the plan? That really doesn't fall with the building official because it's not complete.
Mhm.
If you look at the completed package, this is the in-between where the fire department wants to ensure you have a plan in place to verify that there's fire protection. What's the plan? So this is pretty standard.
So at the end of the completion of the bill, still the building official that is going through, okay. Just one other one here, sorry, just finding it. Just about the change to the sanitary sewer, I assume that's to take into account septic? I mean, it says where it has been determined by the district that sanitary sewer is not available, no permit will be issued by the building permit.
Yep.
Sorry, the building official.
Yeah, through the chair. Yes, thank you, June. So this was another request from the operations department. So typically the district would determine if a service is available or not. So we wanted to clarify that we're determining that, not a landowner.
Okay.
And then if there isn't one available, that we would be working with them to determine what is appropriate, probably like a septic tank or something, and that we would be responsible for reviewing that, not interior health.
Interior
Okay.
has to get approve your septic system when you put one in though.
You have to have a certified practitioner verify,
Mhm.
and they have to get the final permit from Interior Health, but
Yeah.
Interior Health won't do the initial reviews anymore.
No.
So you just have to have the correct practitioner that does the work. The final permit documents are not issued until the tank is complete. So for the purposes of building a permit application, used to be that Interior Health would actually do an evaluation and give you an approval to install. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
They've really stepped back from it.
Yeah.
So this is just reflecting the current state. Bit of downloading that's happened
Mhm.
over the years on septic fields by the province.
Okay, one other one, since we're kind of going through this, just because, why not? So 610, I noticed that you added quite a bit on that. I mean, I think it makes sense, but is that just kind of keeping with what other municipalities would be asking anyways, in terms of keeping a clean construction site if you're tracking debris onto our,
Yep, through the chair. Again, this one was identified by operations.
Yeah.
I should have invited Daryl. But I mean, what he's getting at with this is that, yeah, we already have a sentence there talking about keeping the site clean,
Yeah.
but also not dragging all the debris onto the road and then using district money to clean that road because of their project. So they should be responsible for cleaning their own debris off the road if they drag it on.
yeah, I think it's a really good addition.
But yeah, it does. It protects the district, yeah, from that extra cost.
Okay. Anything else? Okay,
Only one question
Yeah,
I
go
have.
ahead.
Was all the alterations there to do with ALR land? Is that just to line up with something new? I don't remember which one that was in there. There's much red going to the ALR land.
Maybe about farm
Yeah,
buildings.
yeah, farm building and all that. Is that just to align with new building codes or is that?
Well, I guess through the chair. Well, we didn't have any provisions about farm buildings in the bylaw, and so the building official suggested that we should. So if we go through those, 105, are we on, if we could go to 105.0. Thanks, June. So this was, okay, so this was added and it includes farm buildings, which is, actually, can you, I'm sorry, if you can go to the top of 105, because I want to just clarify what 105 is. So the bylaw shall apply to, and then if you scroll back down to O. Farm buildings which exceed low human occupancy. So building official not involved in farm buildings for animals, but when you start to get people in there for events or building bleachers, that starts to bring in the building code, and that's where we would require a review. So that's what that is saying there. And then for 106J, we're just clarifying that it doesn't apply to low human occupancy, so for animal use. And of course, humans are going there too, but under the farm code, there's a threshold for what that looks like for low and exceeding low. So she suggested we should add those two in there, and we've had a few files recently that dabble in the farm code. And then that's where we realized that we actually didn't address it in our own building bylaw. And we have one more section that mentions farm. Oh, in the definitions, of course. So we've added a definition for farm building, and it's a comparable definition to the other municipalities. And the definition uses the low human occupancy threshold. And then it has some clarity in there of what it does not contain.
So we were just adding that, that's all we were.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't quite sure why it was being stuck in there, but if we.
Yeah, I mean-
Addition to actually add in what's.
Yeah, through the
Makes
chair,
sense.
we're not aware of any type of high occupancy or, over the low human occupancy threshold, but just in case, they suggested we should have it in our building bylaw.
Well, you do end up in some jurisdictions having people building the barn dominiums or whatever, where they build a barn and then they start building out the inside. So it does make sense to have this in our bylaw.
So,
That does happen in a lot of rural areas.
Imagine that. Well, and I suspect it has something to do with, I mean, or maybe not, maybe I'm wrong here, about people using a building for a more commercial aspect or, weddings, things like this. I don't know. This would kind of cover that, like, I mean, there is certain provisions in the LR that allow you to use buildings. Yeah, sorry, Dean.
So, and this is important because a farm building for farm purposes
Right,
fits this criteria, so you don't have to meet the BC Building Code standard.
okay,
And where this gets complicated, I saw this a lot in Kelowna. You want to host a wedding in your pole barn, then you gotta kind of reanalyze that building under.
right.
So it's not that it's a problem for cattle and poultry and hay. You suddenly want to put 250 people in there, that's a different story, right? So that's where it's important to have this defined, so people understand that if you're gonna have it for your farm materials and for equipment and for hay and for cows, no problem. When you want to host a wedding in there.
Yeah.
It's enclosed, you are gonna have to meet code, and that's a big deal. So it just helps give clarity.
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, it's two different things in terms of fire safety, people getting in and out, and facilities, and just in general safety. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy with it. I mean, it's I think sensible. Like I said, I went through it. It makes sense to me. I guess just a question on the siting permits. Are we thinking that we start with the park model and then figure out how that works? Or are we, and maybe I throw this out to the committee members too for a little discussion, because this has been something that's been going on for a while. Or are we happy just to make sure this was the area that we had problems with, or we had a lot of problems with because it was easily maneuverable, that we would stop at the park model? I don't know, did staff have any thoughts on that, or did you kind of debate that, or should we be asking for siting permits when it comes to, or do we now, mobile homes and things like that? And Dean?
Clarification, anything that requires a building permit already has a setting within it.
The mobile home does, yeah.
Things that don't require a building permit.
Right.
So a modular home or a mobile home is built to a set, whatever standard it's built to, CSA standard. So it doesn't require a building permit for construction because it's prefabricated. So this allows us to ensure that it's sited properly. Anybody that's getting a mortgage is having to do this anyways.
Mhm.
You have to verify its location in order for your mortgage and for your insurance. You have to verify that anyway. So it's not really creating additional hindrance to the home purchaser, just helping us verify and have a standard process for ensuring things are not sited too close to property lines or too close to other trailers and other components within a location. So this is just to help us manage the development of the community.
So sea cans, sheds.
Well, that's. Sorry, go ahead, Gordon.
There's
Yeah.
a section in here for like portable buildings, like secans in the, I can't remember what section, it's the last section.
So accessory buildings are not being limited. So as far as having this site on a property, it's fairly easy to rectify. We can go in and measure the setback on any accessory building, and require the owner to move it. When it's a home, it's a different story. We have plumbs and fixtures and everything has been attached to the ground. It becomes a different story. So we want to make sure it's sited properly for our residents. We're not as concerned about accessory building. If I tell somebody too close, without ideal of somebody's house.
What about a CCAN that's used for other purposes? We have examples of that around town. I mean, I think some of our other changes that we made to maybe the regulations around that would change that. Examples of where we have CCANs that are using for commercial purposes, things like that. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
CCAN is nothing more than a large cardboard box till it's not used as a cardboard box.
Right,
So as long as the CCAN is being used for its intended construction purpose,
Yeah.
it's fine. The moment you change that CCAN into being something different, it has to meet code for that something different.
you mean it goes into building permit.
Building and you have occupancy to it. Building code would be certified by an engineer for that purpose. It's not easy to do, so you don't see it happen a lot. Certainly as in a haphazard way, it's happened over the years. But as a standard practice, it's not very common to see that. It's very hard to meet BC building code with the CCAN.
So would a CCAN become, oh, sorry,
Oh, no, go
would a
ahead.
CCAN be a temporary building? Would it be
Building
classified?
is a building is a building. It's not temporary or permanent. As soon as you put occupancy in it, it must be BC building code for that purpose. So as soon as you make it a building, it becomes a building, whether it's for a day or a month or 10 years is irrelevant under BC. It still needs to meet the criteria for safety.
I can see people are thinking about this one. I mean, it's,
There was a big.
This is just for discussion.
yeah, I think just.
You know, we'll use the example of the Legion Sea can they brought in.
Right.
And so then, because it is a very high visibility spot, they sided it, put, you know, like a roof on to make it look like a real structure and not that a sea can had been plopped down in the middle of Main.
They actually came to council and asked for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think
And-
Red Barn did as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, it's just one of those things where my concern would be how it looks in high vis areas, so.
Right.
But-
Yeah, Gordon.
And the other thing too is like, there's the aspect of commercial and then residential. You know, it's, you know, everybody might need extra space or for construction or stuff like that, and they maybe come and go in commercial and the things. Sometimes they stay, but in residential, they just get plopped in next door to your place, and that's sometimes another concern. You know, if you have a, you know.
Not allowed currently in residential, I don't believe though. Sigmas.
Just for clarification though, I have seen them used for moving,
Yeah,
for example. So if it's a temporary location for less than 30 days, so and I've actually done it myself, it actually is really quite handy. You have the CCAN arrive, you move everything out of your house into the CCAN over a week or two. And then the CCAN gets relocated to your new location and you have a week or two to unload it. that's not considered to be a location of C. It's when you permanently put it on as an accessory building that we have a concern. I mean, CCANs, I mean, they're not the most beautiful things in the world. They're not the most ugly things in the world, but they do have a use. And that's why I kind of use the analogy like a very large cardboard box. They're great for the purpose they're designed for, but really when you start to use them for something else, they're not great.
So do we have somewhere that you're allowed to have a CCAN property for 30 days? That's kind of spelled out, okay.
People use them for moving and also for renovation. So if you're gonna redo your kitchen, for example, it allows you to get all the furniture out of that part of the house and in somewhere that's safe other than your living room. While you're doing that construction and then put them back in. So you commonly will see them for renovation work, restoration work, if you have a flood or some other problem happens in the house, somewhere to put your stuff that hasn't been wrecked by the flood while you're doing the fixing of the house. So that they do have a purpose for that. We don't want to see loss in the community.
And we haven't really had recently too many complaints or problems on this front.
Through the chair, not that I'm aware of,
Okay.
like, I'm assuming if we got a formal complaint, it'd go through the bylaw department, and not that I've seen recently.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah, I think it's a good discussion to have because we've been talking about citing permits for a while, and I guess we'll certainly have a chance to see how things go with the park models, and I think that's a really good thing because we want to make sure the separations continue and all the hard work the committee and council did on that issue is hopefully resolved going forward. Deb and then Dean.
Yeah, so just to confirm, like part of my understanding of what the citing permit brought to the table as well is the idea of being able to tax
The
the
Dean.
assessment. An assessment.
So that's a little bit different. It does formally record that there has been improvements made. We have other means to do that. BC assessment is pretty good at analyzing the properties to ensure that they're recognizing improvements that were made. So this is less about that. This is actually also in protecting the purchaser of the home. So it actually has a level of protection, as I noted, mortgage are required. If you're not getting a mortgage, and we do have some people in the community that can just buy one of these units, you do have some verification that's been properly cited. So there is a component of consumer protection that this plays into that is important. You don't want to get into your modular unit and then find out you haven't been cited properly, and now you got to go through a variance process, and whether yes or no from council, or maybe your neighbors are going to object. So you can have an issue that can carry on for quite some time. So this is going to help protect the consumer.
Yeah. So that, my point was more about, for instance, when we were evaluating some of these proposed park model, we were talking about the fact that it was going to add tax value to the district. Because if I did a check on Silver Sands as an example, and some of them are actually assessed. I don't know what triggered that, but some of them aren't. They're zero assessed. And so if we're making decisions based on the fact that we expect this to add value to the tax roll for Sycamoose, then, like what I understood was this would be one of the pieces of being able to do that. So that we're not approving things that are adding zero tax value.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
BC Assessment does annually review our building permits and regularly reviews that as part of their process. So this does help them identify modular units that have been added. They've also been, because we've been prodding them Bianca's very much on top of this, and prodding them to do their assessments, which they do that every July, verifying that they're looking at improvements that have been made on some of these properties. Some of that is related to this because the whole unit may not be recognized. The other part of it is though improvements have been made. There's other things like decks, things that just aren't covered. So we're getting them to have a closer look at more properties. So it's more representative of the improvements that have been made. So yes, this is going to help with that, but it's only one aspect of it.
Yeah, and there's been quite a change in that, the whole use of a lot of these properties as well. And we have a couple well, we at least have one more coming on that I think is year round as well. So we've gone from a seasonal basis to year round living. And I mean, it's nice people have homes and everything, but that should change the tax assessment on it as well, right? And council changed, I don't know if actually council did, but it was allowed, Silver Sands. It was only supposed to be seasonal originally, and I know. No, it wasn't it Silver Sands that we allowed year round living in it.
Get confused.
Yeah, anyways, I know it was a discussion because it was originally assessed for only part-time living or part-year living, and then we've changed that. I'm not sure if that was a council decision, but I remember it being, yeah, go ahead.
It was actually all the way through the early 2000s. It was 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
Practice for anybody in the Okanagan and the Shuswap that wanted to sort of regulate it. There was like a 180-day limit.
Right.
40-day limit for occupancy. The challenge is nobody ever figured out a way to, how do you monitor this?
It's impractical.
Shut off your water and sewer after 240 days. You only have that for like, it's almost impossible to monitor.
Mhm.
Most communities began to pull back from it just because you can't monitor it. The stratas themselves can't monitor it. So what is the purpose of the regulation other than to give people a heads up that it wasn't intended to be that? So if you had somebody violating that, it was very difficult to prove it.
Well, it was really impractical as well, right? I mean, we have a housing crisis. I mean, what do you, I mean, a lot of these units are perfectly capable of sustaining themselves year round. I know there's quirks in the building code that may not be recognizing some of the modern day trends that are going on with housing because of the affordability crunch, but yeah, anyways, yeah, go
The
ahead.
hard part for the district as well is we have to still service that building as if it's going to be occupied. 7
Right,
days a week, 365 days.
Yeah.
So your sewer and water infrastructure, you put in the roads and at the plants and the treatment facilities, all still have to provide the capacity for it.
Mhm.
So to have a reduced occupancy, reduced taxation doesn't represent potential that we have to pay as a district.
Mhm.
So we still got to provide all that infrastructure, even though it may not be occupied all the time.
Mhm.
So we got to, we do have some of your utilities are paid on a use basis, but the overall infrastructure still has to be there.
Mhm.
So we can't build a smaller sewer plant because people are only going to be here for 6 months of the year. We have to still build to the full capacity. So there is an infrastructure cost that has to be recognized. We need to collect and reflect on that. We do have user rates that represent the amount of water you use and the amount of sewer that you generate. So you pay a lower user rate, but the overall infrastructure still has to be paid, or else we don't have the plants that we need.
Any further discussion on this item? Any questions, concerns? Oh, okay, well, let's get a motion to recommend that council pass bylaw 700, the building regulations. Gord, Deb, everyone in favor? Okay, so recommended. All right, so we are now going to 4C, which is you, Deb.
Okie dokie. So I think you guys know I've got a lot on my plate, and I'm kind of designating myself as the longest standing member of this community, even though Gordon and I've been on at the same time with doing the official community plan advisory committee, dovetailing into communities in bloom into this. It's been 10 years. And so that's
10 years?
only 10 years, I know. But I think I kind of feel like most of my priorities in terms of participation have been addressed in terms of getting the downtown beautification and development in a way that is making our downtown more vibrant and not, like just this whole. So I kind of feel like it's a good time for me to transition out. I know that the mayor.
Yeah.
It has to decide who this is. I have talked to somebody that's interested. My thinking is that do I resign as of this meeting and then get the ball rolling in terms of that person applying, or you guys get the ball rolling, I guess, in terms of getting a replacement for me, or I'm happy to do whatever works best for you guys. It's not like anything urgent going on. I just think it's time, so.
Yeah, it is an appointment by the mayor, but we did have a recent thing where we made a call out for housing committee members, but Dean, maybe you can add to that.
If you were to resign, committee would be the process.
Mhm.
And then it would be open for new applications. If there is somebody interested in applying, it'd be the
They
first
would
to apply.
just put their name.
And then they would bring their name forward and it would be brought forward for approval. You can't just move your appointment.
No, exactly,
It
absolutely.
has to be done in the
Yep.
process. So you would
Yep.
choose to resign from the committee. And that would be the process that we would follow. So we would seek to have a new replacement identified. We did that with the housing committees.
Nicole.
Chair, I don't know how fast that could happen, because we would like to have a PDC in November. And I think if you resign, then we wouldn't have quorum.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying,
Yeah.
I am flexible with whatever
Okay.
works for the committee, so.
Okay, immediate resignation denied then.
In the nicest way possible.
Not that we have any power over that, but we'll just pretend we do.
That's really important because we have to have our OCP through
Right.
Yeah,
council, so we'd have to skip this process and just go directly to council. So I think it's good value to go through this committee.
Yeah.
The OCP has to be done by the end of the year. It's a legislative responsibility. So we have a consultant that's working funded by the province. So it's good news. We're gonna get that update through. So it's important to get that finished. So if you could wait till the end of the year, that'd be helpful.
yeah, so I am gonna be in Mexico for the next one, but I've got a really good plan, so I can zoom in. I have found, because, like I made a comment about it the other day, it's not only that, getting here from the past is tricky, but being stuck, like I'm going to miss my getting back to my cabin for
Right.
on the hours, so I'll be stuck for another hour. So it's just getting a lot more complicated for me to participate. But I have found that the Zoom is a little awkward because, in terms of hearing and in terms of being noticed and such, but I'm happy to participate.
I'll be on Zoom on the next one too, so Councillor Bush will have to chair it, but yeah, Dean.
So if you could just provide an email to Campton that you intend to resign at the end of this calendar year,
Okay.
then we can actually begin the process for
Sure.
seeking applicants. And we don't have to wait for your resignation to go through before we can do that process.
Yep.
You say that you're going to be resigning at the end of the
Yep.
year. And then you choose not to, we would simply not complete the process, but at least we can get it started.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any thoughts on general discussion about Deb resigning? I'm not for it. 100% opposed, but I mean, you should be thanked for your community service and your service to this committee. And I think in general, I'm constantly awed and amazed by how much you do. And the fact that you've been able to do this for 10 years is incredible. And amongst, I don't know, the 100 other things you do, Deb. So yeah, thank you very much for being part of this. And
My pleasure.
we're not letting you go yet. So this is a 2026 issue, but thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that too, Deb. It's been a pleasure working with you and boy, you've sure been involved for, seems like more than 10 years, but all through the OCP and all that stuff, you've done amazing work for Sycamores. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, well, now we're going on to Nicole. Yeah, just a bit of an update, kind of where we are and.
Okay, yeah, thanks, through the chair. Okay, so yeah, another PDC meeting is important because we have some fun stuff coming up. So a development at 113 Weta and 1005 or 1009 Riverside Avenue. It's a hooked lot. They've got quite a few applications in with us and we've been working with them. So a rezoning, because they're going to propose to go to MUR2 for 36 residential units and some parking.
Mhm.
If they're successful, then they'll probably have a variance, but that hasn't been determined yet because they also need a couple development permits.
Mhm.
Waterfront commercial town center, and then water course development permit. So they've just submitted their report to the province this week, and we have a copy of it now, and so we'd like to discuss that at the next meeting if possible. So that's been in the works. 425 Main Street is obviously being constructed right now, but we did get a development permit amendment application from them. It looked pretty minor, but they had some changes to the garage. One of the garages in the back is proposed to be removed and just do painted parking lines instead. And then a couple other things to do with the building, roof, railings, ramps. So that is under review as well. So 717 Capel Street, I know June's been working with them still on their additional units.
Mhm. That was the last.
Yeah. So that one's still ongoing. We talked about 721 Hemlock today. That's just a small variance. So 800 2 Mile Road, they have a number of applications in with us as well, but most recently they've applied for a variance. So the operations team has provided them a engineering servicing report, which outlines what's going to be required for their subdivision to unhook the lots. And now they've provided a response back on what they would propose to do. So they need that variance before they subdivide. So we're going to have to present that proposal first. It's important for them to focus on the 2-lot subdivision because they also have another application to stratify the RV campground. That would be another good example where park models might be introduced, and we would love a siting permit for that. So 800 2 Mile, and then 1209 Shoe Swap, we don't have.
Ask a quick question on that one because it just popped in my mind.
Mile?
DCCs, that ever get resolved?
Through the chair, so DCCs are required as part of the subdivision.
Okay.
Yeah, typically I would expect them to pay at final subdivision, but they're not there yet. So at this rate, I would expect them to be at the new DCC bylaw rate. Yeah.
But that's being worked on as part of, okay.
Yep, they've been provided quotes on what those numbers could look like. Yeah, yep, so they're aware.
Because we have some projects coming up.
Yeah, DCCs are important. And then, sorry, the last one was 1209 Shoe Swap. So that's the property, I guess, across from the Legion. It was for sale for a bit and someone has purchased it, and we've had a couple ideas for that property. And they haven't submitted a formal application, but I know June has met with them quite recently. And they had we'll call it like a 4-plex or a 3-plex proposed in the back of the lot.
Right.
So they're still working on some of the fine tuning of that. Probably going to need a couple variances. So we're waiting for that one to come.
Okay.
Kind of what I had on our plate right now.
Great. What is that lot currently zoned? Do we have that zoned commercial?
Is this one?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, we'll look forward to that. Any questions?
I had one, but I forget. Anything happening at 2 Mile in the residential, the new brand new residential subdivision of 9 lots there?
Yep.
On the lake?
yeah, through the chair. No building permits that I'm aware of, but the subdivision has been finalized and it looks like some of the lots have been sold, but nothing yet.
Yeah, I went through there the other day and lots have the old sold sign on it, so. Should we expect that?
Mhm.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll go to public input. Anybody online? Is there anybody online? Nope.
I thought that's why Campton was sitting in the.
I know, I mean, obviously, we're gonna have to spice up these agendas a little bit to get our viewership up.
Yep.
I don't know, haven't had anything controversial lately, so. Okay, well, seeing no public input, let's move to adjournment. Have a motion for adjournment. Gord, John. All in favor? Okay, we're done. We'll see you in November.